Story 1. I think the major sign is that they expect something bad to happen again. People may have different personalities or backgrounds, but they never forget and live their lives in preparation. Story 2. They either don't care at all or care too much, becoming overly emotional and stressed about everything. Story 3. Honestly, stress wrinkles, especially at a young age. I have had stress wrinkles all over since I was 13. Additionally, people who overreact to doing something wrong or being bad often show signs of past abuse. Story 4. You can always tell by their eyes, especially if they are on the younger side. Pain and grief can genuinely age you. Story 5. Probably high emotional intelligence or the fact that people who have been through a lot and have moved on show signs of maturity more than the average person. However, it differs if someone hasn't healed. Some people might end up becoming what they once hated, speaking from experience. Story 6. Being overly nice to people can lead to them feeling neglected when they stop being accommodating, even temporarily, due to external factors. A subtle change in tone can leave them contemplating the worst-case scenario. Story 7. From my own experience, I am now quieter than I used to be. I have been a stutterer for a long time, but that never stopped me from speaking. It does not mean I was engaged in casual conversation either. Now, I only speak when I have something important to share. This has also made me more disciplined with my life goals, as I do not take any additional day on this planet for granted. Story 8. Whenever I have helped the homeless and given them food or a few cold waters and sports drinks on a hot summer day, they are very appreciative. When I sit down and talk to them, they often have a hard time looking me in the eyes. This shows they have been through a lot and have difficulty trusting anyone. I never judge them at all. Story 9. Something significant is about to happen, and they do not seem affected at all. They have endured so much before that what lies ahead is minimal compared to their past experiences. Story 10. When a child is overly responsible, it often indicates that the parents are neglectful, leaving the child to fend for themselves and typically take on the role of raising their siblings. Story 11. Being very calm. People always say that I am a calm person. The truth is I love talking, but whenever I say something, people use it against me since I was a child, so I stopped saying anything at all. Story 12. Bags around the eyes say a lot, regardless of how happy a person may seem. Sleep deprivation significantly affects mood, and the underlying reasons for lack of sleep can further impact emotional well-being. Happy individuals often engage in quick conversations. They have learned to navigate discussions, possibly due to constant critique from parents or others. Amputee. Story 13. There is a way people carry themselves when they are actively suffering. To others, it might just look like someone is tired, but those who understand can recognize it. As someone with chronic pain, I notice that hollowed look in people when their pain intensifies and it becomes draining for them. Story 14. The lack of desire to continue is often reflected directly in the eyes. Some individuals feel as though they have lost the will to live, but they persist for the benefit of others. Story 15. If you only know them for making others feel good, reassuring them, and being funny, it means they likely endured hardship on their own in silence, and they do not want other people to feel that way. Story 16. They do not casually talk about whether it is actually a lot. I do not mean that in any rude way. However, I have never met someone who has truly experienced the challenges and speaks about it casually. Story 17. I always have this unsettling feeling when I'm happy. A voice constantly reminds me that this happiness won't last. A couple of weeks ago, I found out my partner has been secretly drinking. Once again, that feeling was correct. I'm very sad right now. Story 18. Tending to be highly capable in emergencies, even severe ones, while being either quite casual about things most of the time or completely sidetracked by minor issues that others might not notice. Story 19. A sign that someone has been through a lot is their ability to stay calm in tough situations, their deep empathy for others, and the way they choose their words carefully. They may also have a strong sense of independence, struggle to open up, or display a mix of resilience and exhaustion in their demeanor. Story 20. I won't say what I've been through, but it's been a lot in the last 8 years. I can confirm that much of what I mentioned is true. I now find myself constantly aware and alert for anything happening. It's post-traumatic stress disorder, and although it seems unfounded, it's impossible to let it go. Once your world has been shattered unexpectedly, you never want to be caught off guard again. On the other hand, nothing phases me now. Day-to-day issues that used to annoy me are insignificant. I actually have great peace of mind now. You learn what humans are really like, who your friends are and who is not. Even significant events or traumas, aside from a death in the family, don't bother me at all. The best people to seek advice from are not professors or therapists who have read books, but those who have been through difficult experiences, bear the scars, and have come out the other side. Story 21. If they get stressed easily or over minor issues and are frequently near their boiling point, they tend to react strongly to small provocations. Story 22. Their aura. I don't mean something you can actually see, but some people have an energy that indicates something has happened to them. I have this gift where strangers feel compelled to share their stories with me. I've had total unknowns tell me incredible things just while walking down the beach or waiting in line at the grocery store. I don't know why people feel compelled to unburden themselves to me, but I must have some cosmic sign over my head that says, she'll listen. Story 23. Outwardly, obesity or being underweight are symptoms that aren't specifically related to trauma, but they certainly can be. Story 24. They no longer believe they know everything. Additionally, due to life experiences, they have a much better understanding of themselves. Story 25. Apologizing frequently, especially when they clearly dislike discussing themselves or their personal lives in detail. Story 26. Honestly, I feel that when people become more relaxed and crave peace, it shows they have been through a lot and overcome it all. Sometimes, when you look into someone's eyes, you can see their tiredness, but you can also sense a character of strength or resolve. Eyes are truly the windows to the soul. Story 27. Some of the most traumatized individuals will never let you see it. Usually, they appear very happy. Story 28. The person is kind without expecting anything in return. The person does not ask for help. The person interacts with individuals who are often marginalized. The person appears to pursue goals that differ significantly from the majority. Story 29. Honestly, it's their eyes. There are a few telltale signs. Some people can't look you in the eye. For some, their eyes narrow slightly when they speak about serious matters. Story 30. Speaking for myself, I have very few friends, but for the few that I do have, I am dedicated to supporting them. They are my chosen family. Story 31. Post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms include avoidance, being overly alert to surroundings, an exaggerated startle response, self-blame, chronic nightmares or flashbacks, and dissociation, where individuals may appear disconnected or lost in thought. Another symptom that is not in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders but is common among those with trauma is perfectionism, which is often a response to trauma. Story 32. Emotionally exhausted. Their feelings seem burned out. They don't appear animated or excited about anything. Conversely, they also do not get too upset when something negative occurs. Jaded. Story 33. In my life, the people I know who have experienced loss, financial struggles, and major health issues tend to be the calmer ones in the group. They seem to understand when something is worth getting upset about. Story 34. Unfortunately, it often involves some form of self-destructive behavior such as smoking, consuming excessive alcohol, failing to maintain employment, and drifting away from family. Story 35. The smile. The imperceptibly empty smile. They know when trouble is about to arise. They understand that fighting it is unlikely to help. They realize they need to find a solution quickly. But in the meantime, they must keep things afloat. Reassure those who haven't witnessed the situation and who will otherwise start to panic. They need to be liked, appreciated, and valued, so they remain cheerful and smile. Not overly so, as they do not want to be seen as overly optimistic. However, in their mind, they have checked out. You can notice it when you know what to look for. Story 36. I work with young kids aged 12 to 15, And the most obvious sign is that they are used to people not believing in them. This can be seen in the way they approach their school assignments. Many of them are quite defiant with adults, which is not a productive situation. The positive aspect is how they light up when adults take the time to connect with them. Truly makes the job worthwhile. Story 37. They are fantastic, quick thinking, and calm in stressful or emergency situations, but you usually do not see the stress that hits them once everything is calm again. It hits them hard. They often feel unable or uncomfortable showing what are perceived as negative emotions such as anger, sadness, or crying, unless they are on their period and learn about tree kangaroos. They are self-reliant and resilient, able to de-escalate situations, usually incredibly kind, but they will not tolerate disrespect from others. They struggle with certain technical things like not knowing how some objects work or how to fix them. For instance, I was surprised to learn at age 31 that you could peel off the outer layers of lint rollers to reveal fresh sticky sheets underneath. I had thought they were single-use for 31 years. They also find it challenging to discard items, but not in a hoarding manner. Instead, they tend to repair things as best as they can when they break, even if a replacement costs only $20. There is a constant sense of foreboding, as if they are just passing time until something else goes wrong, and they are hypervigilant. They are protective and loyal. Story 38. Hyper-awareness. Movement and noise attract immediate attention, prompting a quick threat evaluation before shifting focus to something else. Story 39. It doesn't matter what bad things you do or say to them because they have already gone through worse. Story 40. How they cope with minor setbacks depends on their personality. To them, these challenges are truly just minor setbacks. Story 41. Being very reserved takes time to outwardly show stress. They are quiet until you get to know them, then they tend to overshare. There is something unique about their eyes and how they demonstrate kindness. Story 42. They stop caring about the societal influences of the family, their lies and manipulation, refuse to be blamed for their sins, and simply do their own thing. Yes, these people will be called disloyal to their face and will not care. Story 43. Trust issues. People who push others away or run away have been hurt deeply. If you see someone distancing themselves from their family of origin, a spouse or anyone, they have likely experienced significant pain. Whatever has happened is at the core of their behavior. I have worked with thousands of children and families, and humans need more compassion towards these individuals. Story 44. For those who are able to move on from their hardships, smiling is common. The psychologist at my workplace mentioned that you can often tell which adults have faced significant challenges in their past. They are often the ones smiling, grateful that their current situation is better than what it could be. Story 45. When you ask someone if they are genuinely okay and they respond with "I'm fine," even when you know they aren't, it seems they have a hard time truly expressing their emotions. Story 46. They are extremely calm all the time, even more so in chaos, because everyday life is nothing compared to what they have been through. Story 47. When you talk to them, they stare through you as if they are focusing on something behind you. This doesn't mean they aren't listening to you. Half their mind is trying to deal with something else even as they interact with you. Story 48. Their emotions seem burnt out, and they do not get animated or excited about anything. They also do not become too upset when something bad occurs. Story 49. They don't display their pain like a badge. It's integrated into how they love, how they depart, and how they seek their peace. Story 50. I know several people who are very relaxed and friendly and who simply shrug and move on in the face of problems. These individuals have experienced a lot and have emerged stronger. Instead of breaking, they allow the hurricane to wear down their sharp edges. Story 51. They've transcended the why me phase to an understanding of I see why. They float through life despite the turbulence and give love where they can, offering seeds of love and truth to those who may be receptive to it. If not now, then perhaps a few years down the road. Story 52. Just speaking for myself, I have survived several war zones, not just with the military but also as a child. We grew up in a challenging neighborhood in North Houston called Acres Homes before moving to Crenshaw. I watched friends die growing up and dealt with loss myself before I started working as a contractor for the Department of Defense. I do have issues with depression and more, but I stopped caring when I left the United States for the first time. I don't care what someone says about me because I know who I am. I can be mean and loud, but I can also be the nicest person you'll ever meet. I help people who need it and I hold doors for everyone, but I could also be the one to take a life. I carry a pistol and several knives daily and can use them well. I have an education and a high IQ, which many find intimidating. Most people I know call me a bear because I can be as soft as a teddy bear or as fierce as a grizzly, depending on the situation. I have learned to be numb to everything in the world due to pain and homelessness, as no one cared about me. I work hard, but living expenses are too high to get by. Story 53. They empathize when someone is having a hard time. Although not always, they are usually quick to pick up on when someone is sad, and they can feel it as well. Story 54. It depends on how recent the experience is and whether they manage to come out the other side of the situation. If the experience is recent, they may be on edge and defensive. If it is distant, they likely have strong boundaries, good perspective, and effective personal management skills if they worked through it. If they did not work through it, they may show signs of struggling with executive function and emotional regulation, such as job hopping, difficulty keeping track of dates and bills, and mental or emotional rigidity. Story 55. It is not universal, but if they engage in many charitable acts, they may be conditioned to be submissive, or they may not want anyone to experience suffering as they have. Sometimes it can be a combination of both. Story 56. I often hear that I look like someone who has been through a lot. I am not sure why people feel that way about me. Story 57. I work in affordable housing, and one criterion for living in this apartment is that you must have been homeless. I'm 57, and there is a new generation of homeless individuals now. I also interact with seniors who have experienced prison, mental health challenges, and homelessness, and who are happy and greet each day as a blessing. For me, having lived a hard life is only part of the question. It should also consider how the person responded to those challenges. Story 58. In my case, the issue is my voice. Whenever I am depressed or my Lyme disease symptoms flare up, I barely speak at all, and when I do, I speak quietly and in a sad tone. Story 59. They are indifferent to everything around them, but, in fact, have a tendency for deeper thoughts about the things happening around. Story 60. Their presence feels rough and is hard to explain, but their energy is serious and sturdy. Hopefully, someone else will be able to corroborate. Story 61. I have had a challenging 3 months, with both positive and negative experiences. There have been wonderful moments, but they have been balanced by equally difficult events. Feels like I am a victim of Murphy's Law. At this point, I do not get frustrated when something unfortunate occurs. My thought is often, what else is new? On the positive side, I do not dwell on these setbacks for long and immediately focus on finding a solution. Additionally, when something good happens, I feel a great sense of relief. Story 62. One experience I have is friends saying, "Oh, she's talking about something sad again." When we discuss our pasts, I dislike it. Perhaps my friends are not supportive. I am simply trying to share my life. One memory that stands out is when my friends and I talked about when we first started doing our own laundry. I explained that my foster mother taught me because my biological mother rarely washed our clothes, so I often wore dirty ones while living with her. While this is sad, it is just my life experience related to the topic we were discussing. I cannot help it if my experiences seem depressing. For this reason, I tend to hold back and remain quiet during discussions about the past, especially childhood, to avoid being seen as a sad oddball. I am a very happy person despite what I've been through, and I wish that was recognized. Story 63. My own experience is that I do not have the time or patience to care about trivial problems. I will listen to what you say but mostly disregard it unless you are being mentally or physically abused, as I have some empathy for that. Story 64. When a short person constantly brings up others' height for no reason, it indicates that they have been teased about their stature a lot. Story 65. They listen more than they speak, show kindness without needing recognition, and carry a quiet strength. You can see it in their eyes, as if they have lived 1,000 lives in one. Story 66. My fringe gained a flash of white when I was 14. I am pretty sure stress and Marie Antoinette syndrome affected me over the course of about a month. It was not exactly like fighting a Balrog, but my hair turned white during a difficult time. Story 67. They joke about not wanting to be here or being the funniest people. Their eyes are sad even when they are smiling. Story 68. That is a tricky question. Many people have faced challenges and have become very healthy. Story 69. As cliché as it may sound, the eyes reveal much about a person's experiences. You can tell when someone has been through a lot just by looking deep into their eyes. Story 70. They don't talk much and make long pauses between sentences. They also have a calm, even indifferent look, as if they understood everything in this life. Story 71. I do this myself frequently so I can identify it. You know, the jokes about the class clown or the bubbly person all having some issues deep inside. Sometimes, when they are not engaging with others actively, you can see that solemn gaze. It is not directed at anything specific, just a gaze into the world, as if they view it differently. Often, I've found that these types of people are very self-aware of this performative personality. Hence, when there is no need to perform, you get to see that solemn gaze. Story 72. When someone frequently apologizes for things that do not warrant an apology or over-explains themselves to justify basic decisions or reactions, it may be a sign that they had an abusive parent who made them feel at fault or invalidated. Story 73. They carry shame and fear like a heavy coat they cannot shrug off. I work with the local homeless population, and many of them suffer from substance use disorder. Many of them will not even meet your eyes until they can trust that you truly are not there to hurt them. Story 74. They don't move an inch when someone confronts them or gets in their face. You can be screaming in my face and about to get very close. I'll even let you swing at me once. If my reflexes don't intimidate you after that first hit and you go for a second one, I already know your style and you're in trouble. There is a general sense of not being easily offended. This comes with experience, as you realize the value of your energy and what is not worth your time. Story 75. If it is a child, you are often surprised when you learn their age. They seem much older than they actually are. Story 76. 1. Bitter. 2. Overly critical and defensive. 3. Hyperindependence. 4. Hypercompetitiveness and jealousy issues. 5. Normalization of abuse and sexual assault. 6. Frequent instability in relationships. 7. Reduced empathy and sympathy for others unless they directly experience the event themselves. Poor levels of introspection and reflection. 9. Compulsive and pathological lying. 10. Oddly positive all the time. 11. Highly observant of their surroundings. 12. Hoarding behaviors. 13. Obsessive behaviors towards others. Story 77. If you saw me, you would know I have post-traumatic stress disorder from all-day torture on Neuralink. I look like a Holocaust victim. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.